Greetings. So I've read, this is the fourth John Boyne novel that I've read. And how it occurred is that, I'd been reading some other things and, whatever, not particularly stimulated by it all. And so I said, gee, I want to read somebody I really like. So I went up to the library and I went to the shelves with the Boynes and I got this one. And I was like, well, I don't know. House of Special Purpose. The last one I did read was the Absolutist, which I reviewed here and thought was just great. But so I picked it up. And I don't think they had any other ones there that I hadn't read. It's a long novel, almost 500 pages, but he's really great, I think. I mean, 500 pages, but really never a dull moment. I mean, he clips it all along quite nicely and delivers a compelling story, and you want to know what's going to happen next. And it's terrific. He's very skilled at the craft of writing novels, as far as I'm concerned. So what is the context of this? What goes on in the book? It's set in Russia, Tsarist Russia. I think it starts 1905 or something like that. And if you know anything about Russian history, things are starting to fall apart around that time. Just before World War I. So we go in. It's a sweeping novel. Actually, we follow this character Georgie, who from his life in his crappy little town where he lives, where people are basically starving or trying to survive, and just miserable. And they're thrilled when the king rides through and stuff like that. Preponderance of the people really believe in the system. They believe that the king is actually there because God said, this czar, this particular man, Nicholas Romanov in this case, is to be czar, is to be your leader. He is anointed by me, God. And so, and people really believed this stuff because they were told it all through their lives. And I might get back to the God thing in a little bit. But so what goes on is in a happenstance, while royalty is riding through town, it's not Nicholas himself, it's Nicholas's brother or uncle or something, and who's also named Nicholas. And one of the friend of Georgie here is wanting to impress his father by shooting this guy who's leading the war effort and all that. So he sets about doing that, and Georgie actually steps in between and takes the bullet and saves the life of the count or the Grand Duke or whatever he is. And so he ends up rewarding Georgie with a to go to the Winter Palace and go to the Winter Palace, and he ends up going to the Winter Palace, meeting the Tsar, meeting the Tsarita, the Mrs. Czar, and meeting the daughters, and he gets this gig as being the protector of Alexei, who is the youngest of all these children. There's like 4 daughters and Alexei, I believe. Alexei is the youngest, and of course he's the golden child because he is a boy, so therefore he is an heir to the throne of all Russia because, God said so. And so, but he has a little bit of an issue in that, because of the inbreeding with royalty and all that, he also is hemophiliac, so a bleeder. So there's one a situation where he falls out of a tree and gets bruised up, and Georgie doesn't know what's about this condition yet, and so the kid lies in agony for weeks until he recovers, and because even if you're having internal injuries like bruises and so forth, they would just keep bleeding. They will not coagulate, and it gets all in your muscles, and it's miserable, and it's painful, and you can even die. So that's something that was pretty interesting in this story. So I'm reading this John Boyne novel about St. Petersburg during Tsarist Russia, and one of the characters gets sent to St. Petersburg and the Winter Palace and everything. And so I'm walking on the street here in Brooklyn where I'm cat sitting, and find this book that has all these pictures of St. Petersburg and the Winter's Palace and everything back then. So I just picked it up so I could look at it and have some added illustrations to the book I'm reading. And this boy ends up meeting Anastasia, and they end up having a thing for each other. So in that sense, it's a very romantic novel. It has very much of this romantic thing going on with Anastasia, and then with Zoya, the man's wife, later in life, and the timelines of the book is chopped up. As I said, we go all through his life, through their lives together, and so it goes back and forth. Like there's a chapter of in the 80s or in the 40s or in the 50s, and then there's a chapter back in pre-revolutionary Russia. So yeah, so I didn't know anything about all this stuff, and it's fantastic. And I want to watch. I noticed there's a. I don't. There's a figure of. There's Rasputin in it, of course, and so there's Rasputin, and Rasputin is having sex with everyone. At least that's what is alleged in this decadent situation with these royals. And Georgie does have an encounter with Rasputin, and he pulls him into a place out of town where all this stuff, this sort of debauchery, is going on with prostitutes and so forth. He's still a young man then. He's like 15, whatever years old. And so then we cut away. That's a good thing about John Boyne. He cuts away from the sex scenes. So there was, you can figure out what happens yourself. So yeah, I thought it was just really great, and I'll probably be reading more John Boyne novels. This whole thing with God and royalty, and I don't really believe in God. I don't have any kind of conception of God. I don't really have this big God need of some sort of hole in my life where God should be. The God is just, it doesn't mean anything to me, and I don't believe it. It's just crazy as far as I'm concerned. But then we have this situation where these people believe that God has put the rich people, the leaders, the kings and the queens, all in their position. And, I think this is still going on. I mean, there are still people who think that, Trump has been put where he is because of God. And it's like, people have to get their shit together in some sort of philosophical way here, or, it's like, well, I think people are kind of doomed anyway with the military-industrial complex, which all has stuff to do with God as well. So I don't know. It's like if you can't get rid of God, you're never going to really settle out the class struggle. And I think that's why, certain communist societies want to eliminate religion, because you can't have an equitable society if you have this old style view of God, God, and then something below God, and then something else below God, and we're to serve God, and we're to go to His kingdom in heaven. We're to go to a kingdom, people talking about the kingdom of heaven, I've never had any particular desire to live in a kingdom of heaven, hell, or anything else. So it's just that, and there's a lot of that kind of stuff in here Georgie throughout his life basically is kind of loyal to the whole thing, and that's what's beautiful about the book, because he doesn't get criticized for it in any sort of way. It's just the story of these kind of people and what happened. Well, it's a fantastical story, but what could happen, and it's a fantastical story that is completely so well told that it was utterly believable and wonderful, and I really enjoyed it. So that's my little talk about the House of Special Purpose by John Boyne, the great Irish novelist. Thank you for watching.